Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another show, United Photo Booth. I have a special treat for you guys here today because as photo booth business owners, we want success, but there are steps to get there. So I brought someone that's only a few events away from being a $1 million photo booth business. Today we have Thomas Praxidis in the house. He's going to be schooling us. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm good, man. Thank you for having me here.
Hey, Thomas, I am so happy that you actually made it, bro. Thank you for making time.
Yeah, absolutely.
I am going to really dive into your journey, and I'm sure a lot of people are wondering, how did you acquire so much success? So you started off in what year?
I started in 2017.
2017. Okay, you started in 2017. Tell us a little bit about that version of Thomas. Tell us a little bit about your background so that we can kind of get an idea of who you are, sir.
Yeah, so I started in 2017. At the time, I was active duty Marine, so basically equivalent to a 9-to-5 job, just a little bit more demanding at times. Monday to Friday, I was a Marine, and during that time in 2017, me and my wife, we were engaged, and we were planning for a wedding. Needed some extra funds because weddings can be a lot of money. My aunt, who is a photo booth owner, her name is Pinky. She owns Fizzin Photo Booths in the Valley, Granada Hills area. She talked a lot about the photo booth industry, what it's all about, and I saw so much success from her. She mentored me in the beginning stages, and after that, man, I just got a photo booth, and one photo booth paid for my entire wedding in 7 months, and my wedding was about $25,000, and I was able to kind of really get that done. So
Okay.
and then I just kept going.
Okay, so Marine background. You have one we all know, the discipline.
Yeah.
And then you had a vision when you were planning your wedding, and then you seen your aunt with the photo booth business. Did you provide your own booth for your own wedding?
No, you know what? At least by the time that wedding happened, I've been in the game for 7-8 months, but we were nonstop back to back. I was so exhausted from photo booth, and my aunt actually gifted her photo booth services to me. But no, I did not.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So you bought the booth, and if I heard you correctly, you were already on and popping with that photo booth. Like you were already busy prior to your actual wedding.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
Bought the booth in January, and within I want to say a week of lull time, and then after that we were just every weekend, 3 or 4 weekend, we were just killing it the entire time. Me and my wife. I was the operator. My wife was managing the props. She'd manage the Instagram. We were just doing that.
Okay, so it was a duo. Your wife and you started a business, photo booth business. It picked up right away, and I'm so curious to learn what strategies during that first year in business, at least the first few months, what worked for you in 2017?
Yeah, that's a good question. And when I think of the audience and how I can kind of like spin this is, I said yes to everything. I took every event that I possibly can. Free events, even lowballed events, I just did it. To me, I wasn't worried about the money up front at that point. I knew I wanted to continue this business. So I said yes to everything that I can, and I over-delivered, and I held on to every single client. Like I wanted them to remember me, because these clients, and I know I'm jumping ahead, would eventually serve me later years, because they would call me to hire them, and then I had inflated, I had higher prices at that point. But in the beginning I said yes to every single thing. I did free events, lowball events, a lot of competitor analysis, maybe looked at all of the photo booth companies within my area, and I just went below them just to get my name out.
It sounds like you had some business background before you started a photo booth business, because the way you were analyzing things and seeing things, it sounds like you came in with already some entrepreneurship skills, right? Yeah.
No, not really, man. It just seemed to me, it just came natural to me, common sense wise.
Okay.
I never thought about doing photo booths before that. I had like little small side hustles where I'd go to an auction house and I'd buy a couch for $100 and flip it for 700.
Okay.
But I just thought that was the right way to go, and it served me right, you know. And plus, the area that I was at, demographic, plays a huge part. And so I was in a middle to low income area, and I knew in my area, this is what I can get away with. I just have to over deliver, and I did every time.
Okay, great. So you started off, you're busy, your wife and you kind of have each other's roles as far as like you do this in the operations and I do that, right? But it gets to a point, Thomas, where you start experience fatigue. It's kind of like burnout because you're at 1 to 2 events every week and you're doing this every single weekend, right?
Yeah.
And on top of this, I can imagine you and your wife probably, let me know, you guys like a 9 to 5?
Right. Yeah.
So then on top of that, we know that being hype men at these photo booth events, it takes up a lot of energy. During that entire year, the first year in 2017 of your business launch, when did you start considering bringing in people to help you with your business?
Definitely after, right before our wedding. I want to say we got married in July. Around June timeframe, we were experiencing a lot of burnout. Wedding planning needed to take over. And, you know, at the time we had 2 kids. We have 2 kids now. They're older now, but at the time they were like very young. And we were just losing out on date nights and time with the family. So to me, I needed to like step away from the company, but then I needed to hire people. So that was the only way. So around June timeframe, that's when I said like, hey, I gotta find people. I gotta release control of this thing. Okay. And from there, I just was able to duplicate myself over and over and over again. And I think I believe looking back at it, I fully went like all in like after the honeymoon. That's when I got a second photo booth, a third photo booth, hiring people out. I was still doing events, but I was slowly transitioning myself away from, you know, being an operator.
You said that you kind of had a conversation with yourself, like a self-reflection as far as what you wanted to be in your business. And
right.
So when you decided to give up some of that control,
yeah.
I know that giving up trust and also placing that amount of, how can I say this, exposure of your business relying on someone else's performance.
Right.
How did you talk your way into that? And was it something both you and your wife sat down and said, hey, it's actually time that we consider bringing people into the business.
Yeah.
And we worked our butts off, and we just have. The thing here, Thomas, is a lot of people listening are having a hard time handing over the steering wheel.
Yeah.
And giving up control.
Right.
Can we dive into the giving up control part a little bit?
Yeah. So you have to have a long-term vision. Sustainability is key. Can you keep doing events every weekend? Absolutely, you can for the first year. Maybe for the second year. And you know, if you're really that motivated, yeah, third year. However, the fire will die out. Sooner or later, you're going to miss a lot of personal events. If you have kids, you're going to miss soccer games, you know, just their own lives. You're going to be tethered down to that. Now, sure, you know, you may feel, and I talk to a lot of people about this, where nobody can do an event as good as me. But that's all ego. That's all ego. You can train people to do these events. It's not surgery. It's simple. So to me, the way that I was thinking about this is, if I don't find somebody to replace me, then this business lives and dies by me alone. Like, I need people around me, and I need to be able to generate revenue while I'm away. Whether that's I'm in school or I'm at work or I'm on a trip to Japan, this company needs to be able to provide revenue while I'm away. And the only way that I can do that is by scaling and finding qualified people for this. And I say this all the time. I say this to a lot of owners. I even said this during my time in the Marine Corps. If you want to go fast, you go alone. But if you want to go far, you got to go together. And that's truly the only way to scale. You got to find people that are better than you. You got to find people that are just that are willing to do that work. Plus, you know, the mission, I would say the mission changes. The purpose changes when you become a full-time, like an actual business owner, not business owner / operator. When you're a business owner and you have people that work for you and you have people that are helping you, there's more of a reason to release control because you can see that they are, you're taking care of their lives. They're able to provide for their families. They're able to provide for themselves. And I think for me now, that's like the biggest reward. Back then it was, let me make a couple of $100 a month. Let me make this a side hustle. But now I get true satisfaction when my employees tell me, Thomas, I was able to pay for a car payment, or I was able to help my mom out with food or rent. And that's something that owners can really grow their company to if they really release that control.
Wow.
Yeah.
Take a second to digest that, because you're right. It's like, why hustle? Why not just finally put your foot down and tell yourself, I'm going to create an actual organization, a business that's going to allow people to come into our culture and create a lifestyle around that same mission.
Yeah.
So you're bringing people in, Thomas. So you went from an operator to a newlywed. Mm-hmm. And then at the same time, now you are transitioning into like the HR department of your business. You have no, I want to say at this time, you and your wife probably had no skills as far as filtering, going through the interview process with these candidates. Your onboarding process was probably more like, do you know anyone who knows someone?
Yeah.
And just bring. Once you got really good at the hiring process, what systems or what type of onboarding process do you feel is most effective if we fast forward to today? Because a lot of people probably won't ask the right questions, will probably want to hire people just to put out fires.
Sure.
And so they'll hire off of pressure and not really take their time to really interview these candidates, right?
Yeah.
And look into their background. Because when photo booth season comes around and you're turning down business, you want to hire someone as fast as possible so you don't lose out on business. But that person that you're hiring right away might not be the best solution long term. So for the folks listening and watching, what do you recommend, stepping into like the HR role and some of the strategies that helped you bring people on board and also keep them long term?
Yeah, good question. So now I actually no longer do my hiring. I actually have my managers do the hiring now because I've even transitioned away from that. But so when thinking about when we were hiring, one, I had my core team that I found through referrals, family, friends, so on and so forth, and I was able to retain them. However, during the hiring process, I would find all of my people. For one, at the time, it was Marine Corps reservists at recruiting offices, and I was a Marine. I kind of had that. I had that network and leverage. But if I'm to talk to any owner today, I find them now on Indeed. So Indeed is a great spot. I also found people at Chick-fil-A. One of my workers that worked for me for 2 years, he delivered Domino's pizza to my door one night on a Friday night, and I said, "Hey man, have you ever thought about another job?" And I handed him a business card, and his customer service skills just appealed to me at the time. Mm-hmm. So if you can find them, if you notice anybody out there, I'd say give them a card. But also, if you can't, go on Indeed and put a job application out and see how many applications you get. Now, with the application process, I specifically target individuals that are, and we put this on the application, that are within 5 to 10 miles of my warehouse. There's no point in them being 30 miles away, going to an event in LA, and then going back to my warehouse, drop off gear, and then driving back 30 miles. Like, I need them to go to the event, come back, drop off the event, and then their house is nearby. Like, that's a specific, mandatory requirement for me. And we don't do the keep the gear at your house game, because that's some liability. After talking to so many attendants, they really don't like doing that, right? Okay. So that was one criteria, mandatory. You got to live near the warehouse. And on Indeed, you can actually structure that to where it's like I'm only looking for people within this area. Okay. And age plays a factor. Sometimes we've hired some older people and it works, but in my experience, this is not to talk bad about anybody old. Shit, I'm old.
Just keep it real.
Yeah. But the younger individuals, like 19, 20, 21, even 23, 24, they're more energetic. They're hip with it. They got a lot of charisma.
Yeah.
So those are the individuals that we really really want. And then having different individuals, whether it be Hispanics, Caucasian, African Americans. We want women. Women are great for this, but sometimes a lot of women don't apply because they see that they have to lift heavy gear at times, you know. But having a pool of diversity really really helps. You know, case in point, when we do celebrity events in LA, and there's a lot of black-owned businesses, we send attendants that fit that demographic. It just becomes it. They see things in a different way. Yeah, they're like, oh, that's cool. You know, like you're providing value on just different fronts to everybody, and that's who we, at least when it comes to the interview process or the hiring process, we look for people with not just the talent, but can we trust them? That's really the big thing too. Can we trust them? Can we trust them with gear? Can we ensure that they can follow directions, show up on time? And the rest is history after that, man. Okay. You take them out to a couple of events and you let them fly.
So you're levels ahead of a lot of us in the game.
Yeah.
And this is why I'm so appreciative of your time here, because it really allows me to dive into your world. Now, because you're levels ahead of us, you said you already have people hiring for you and doing that for you, right? The hiring process. But if we scale it back just a little bit, when you were actually doing the hiring process and you talk about trusting these people, did you run like background checks at all? Like,
yeah,
you do?
No,
not anymore? Okay.
No background checks. Just make sure you have a valid driver's license. And so when I had the one-on-one interview with them, I'll ask them questions like, you know, tell me what you do, what jobs have you had in the past, what's your GPA, because they're usually young. Give me a hard problem that you solved, and you can get a good gauge of character off that. Okay. And then once you feel that they're good, I would send him out with an attendant, and he would act as an assistant as well. Okay. So what happens is when you send him out with one of your responsible attendants, and they go out on a Saturday, that attendant, or at least the new person, he doesn't know, but the attendant's also evaluating him. And that attendant's usually close in age. So you put two people...
they do themselves with no filter.
They become themselves in that car, you know? Yeah. So at the end of the event, I'll always call the attendant, one of my senior guys, like, how was he? He's like, hey, he was good. He's pretty funny in the car. He has initiative. If that guy signs off on him, I'm usually like, this. We can work with him because we got to be able to work together. Some people though, they let their hair out all the way to the attendant.
You want to smoke this joint with me on the one?
No shit. They're asking that stuff. They're like, hey, what's the drug policy here, or how is this job, or you know, and they act all weird at times, and our attendants will repeat that back to us, and then I'll know from then and there, it's like, okay, you're only doing one event, you're done after that, or I just won't call you back anymore, right?
Okay. So when you say we won't call you back anymore, I'm assuming that all these staff members they're coming into your business as contractors, which helps everybody out because there's no hard ties between.
Right. I consider it kind of like a paid interview, because even though they're going out an event as an assistant, I'm still paying them. But we're just trying it out. We're seeing if they're a good fit. Because we've had it before where we've had an attendant who we spent countless hours in training, and he loved what he was hearing. But when he went to an event, he got sensory overload. There was just a lot of people. He's like, I can't do this. I'm like, okay, no harm, no foul. But it's like, oh, geez, I spent so much time with him. Mm-hmm. So to me, it's like, okay, let me figure out how to adjust this. You need to go out with an attendant, and I'm going to pay you a set amount. This is what you're going to make. Mm-hmm. If you want it, take it. Go out with the attendant, and then you see if you like it. Yeah.
A lot of people are probably thinking this sounds. They're probably loving this right now.
Yeah.
But another question that I can think of right now is, as you're bringing these people in, some people are probably going to consider this strategy, and they're thinking about their profit margin.
Yeah.
So for those people, Thomas, that are thinking about profit margin and how they're taking a less cut, but also in a way that's long term, because this game right here is all about delayed gratification, right? So for those people that want to bring people in, but every now and then you'll get a bad apple or a candidate that just their values just not aligned with their mission. What would be a good strategy for you to utilize when bringing people onto your business? Like, here's my thing. I would think that bringing on minimum of 2 people and giving them that paid training, taking them to the event with a seasoned photo booth attendant at the same time. So now I have 3 people that I'm paying for one event. I think it might be worth the time. That way I know out of those 2 people that are kind of the orientation that are going, maybe a keeper might not, versus just taking one person and then still going after event until I find that rock star.
Right.
Through your experience, what has been most efficient as far as that process goes?
We do it just like that. I mean, sometimes we'll double, triple up. I mean, it's a numbers game, but the interview process has to be so strong that by the time you already say you're going out to an event, you should already have had a connection, and you should already be like 80%, 90% like, this guy's hired. That 10% confirmation is coming from that other attendant, because you never know how people are behind closed doors or when they're really, really relaxed, right? So I would say most of the work needs to come from the interview process. Ask the right questions, and really, can you trust this person? But let me dial that back real quick. I think when hiring attendants, when going this route of scale, you have to have a level of risk tolerance. You have to be okay with, I'm not going to make as much in this event. Or you have to be okay with, he might damage my gear. Or I might get a bad negative review because he didn't know how to control the camera quality. That's going to happen. It's going to happen. However, again, you gotta talk to yourself. Like, do you want to have a side hustle, or do you want to run a company? Because companies, you're not going to get it right all the time. But I tell you, this area of running a company has massive rewards. It will run without you because you're giving trust to a lot of people. It's going to come with the territory that people will mess up. This is where you truly evolve as a business owner, because at this point you become patient, you become more graceful, and really you take the time. You're taking the time to really let this baby go. So mindset is key. Accepting risk, accepting that things could get messed up is that's where you got to get at first, and then pulling the trigger of doing the interview process, and then doing the attendant thing that I just described. Yeah. And then after that, man, just continuously training. You have systems and processes in place to ensure there's checks and balances. Like my attendants now, when they go to an event, they know they cannot start the event unless they send me a setup photo of the entire photo booth setup, and they got to send us a quality photo of what it looks like. And then my managers go on the chat and they look at all like, hey, adjust the gaff tape, put the ISO a little higher, fix your prop table, or hey, this looks good, proceed, approve, move on. Right? Wow. So there's so much systems that go into it.
Dude, this last part that you brought up about sending a picture for confirmation, proceed, is freaking badass. Dude. I like that, because veterans are looking at that with their trained eye. There's gaffer's tape on that side, it looks sloppy. Go ahead and relocate that. Yeah. Like you said, the ISO might not be as high as it needs to. Yeah. We don't want that photo to get reproduced throughout the entire event. Right. And then it's too late to catch it.
Yes.
Okay, so that's really cool, man. You see, guys, you have to understand that sitting down with Thomas Praxis is valuable, especially if you guys are going to start applying some of these strategies and perspectives as well, because these are philosophies. Yeah. But then again, these are philosophies that have reaped a certain outcome for you. Right. Now, we were talking about the interview process, and something just clicked really quick. Because I'm going to start bringing people on board, Thomas. Yeah. And one thing I was thinking about, since I have the tools now, like through Wix, for example, is I can have them fill out a form, like a survey or a questionnaire. And then on top of that, it can be followed up with an email where it'll ask them a few questions, and then they can record themselves and then send the video recording to us. So I feel like that would be a good filtering process, because people that are not comfortable in front of the camera won't proceed. Right. But if they really want the job, and they're looking at the overall job, say like, I can do this, and they sit down and they take that 60-second recording and they submit it, then you yourself know that those people that actually submitted the video are more likely to really want a position in your company. And not just that, but you get to see their demeanor, their enthusiasm and how they look presentable and stuff like that.
Sure.
And it's funny because I just thought about this, but this is a strategy United Airlines used, Alaska Airlines, and I forget what other airline. I did this many years ago, and I thought, why not try that? What were your thoughts on that? Just random.
No, you could do it. The talent pool might not. I don't know. You could do it. Some people don't want to be on camera though. You know, I think you can really scrub the list of candidates. Well, think about it. If you do it on your website is not as high vis as Indeed. Indeed is known as the platform for everybody to apply. Mm-hmm. So those same questions you can put on Indeed as well.
Yeah.
And then on the Indeed process, how we scrubbed through a list, we had 60 people apply last week. We told 50 of them we're not going to hire them based off of a lot of things. A lot of the ways that you can scrub this entire list is through their resume too. If they put a lot of effort into the resume, then you know like this person is probably good. Most resumes are straight shit. They don't put any work into it. There's nothing on there really. That will probably take care of like 50% of the problems there. You could do the video. It is a good idea. We just don't do it that way. Because I don't know if Indeed has a way where they can videotape themselves, but they just submit. It's a click of a button, upload interview. We have some preset questions that we ask them, like do you have photography experience, do you have customer service experience, et cetera, et cetera. They fill it out. They take some sort of like crazy Indeed evaluation, and then it sends it to me like, hey, this guy's a good fit for you. I'm like, okay. Sometimes it's off though, but it's a good idea. We just don't do it.
I'm gonna try it out and I'll update you.
Yeah, let me know. But try Indeed. Like that, it's a good place to start.
Indeed, I will, Mr. Thomas.
Yeah.
Okay, so Thomas, now we have staff, and we're buying photo booths, right?
Yeah.
With you as an investor now, because you're investing in equipment.
Yeah.
How did it mess with your budget as far as like, man, I need to buy not one printer, but I need to buy 5 printers now. And so my question is, as you are growing your team and you want your productions to be as efficient as possible, tell me a little bit about your setup and your philosophy, because when I visited your warehouse, I noticed you use 4-foot tables versus 6-foot tables. And that alone showed me like, dude, you gotta go light. You gotta pack light. Right. You gotta be mindful about how much space you have, or your employees, how small their car is going to be.
Right.
So let's just dive into that area as far as efficiency and the production overall.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm reminded of a time when I was in the Marine Corps, and I went to this academy, and one of our instructors, he would always say, tactics are for amateurs, logistics are for professionals. And that always stick with me, right? Even during my time in deployments, like you gotta think about logistics, how to get things from point A to point B. So with that said, as far as how I put that into the photo booth realm is, look, back then when I was doing the events, I had a truck. We brought all the bells and whistles. Nobody can do an event as good as me. Like they were all nice. I brought everything, right? However, as I was starting to see the average 19, 20-year-old kid that would work for us, they were in a hurry. They drove a Honda, and they can't really fit much in their car. And even their Hondas are packed because they got subwoofers in there and all sorts of crazy shit, right?
Yeah.
So I had to make the gear light. So everything needed to be standardized. And this is like the military brain in me. Like in the military, everything has to be the same because you cannot operate large units if shit's all willy-nilly, you know? So everything was intentional. Like you've been in my warehouse, like the prop bins, it took me months to figure out, I'm not going to use a 20-gallon bin. I'm going to use a 10-gallon bin. They got to be this type of bin, this type of prop, this type of camera. I'm not going to use a wagon. I'm going to use a rock and roller R2, D2 type, whichever one, right? Like the specific type has to be that one. I'm not going to use this type of tape. I'm going to use gaff tape. I'm going to use this type of extension cord. We're not going to get a 50-foot extension cord. We're going to use 25-foot and 15-foot extension cords. Like everything is so standard. And you have to make it like literally a checklist. You got to break it down. Do you have the luxury if it's just you? Yeah, you can bring all these crazy stuff that you see out there like vases and tables and all this artsy shit to make your stuff look nice. Yeah. But go ahead and try to pack that in a kid's car. He ain't going to do that shit.
Okay.
So to me, I feel like I had to standardize, train to what I want, and then also like set it up in the warehouse. You know, we did so many drills that way. But I be very intentional with your gear, right? So like I see in a lot of the photo booth networks and stuff. Like, is a mirror booth a good starter photo booth?
No.
Hell no. Hell no. Why would you get that? Thing is huge. Right. It's a nice. We have photo booths. I mean, we have mirror booths. We actually have 2 of them. But no, that's just not it right there. You know.
Even the 360 booth is challenging because of those stanchions you have to bring along. They take up a lot of space, brother.
Dude, yeah. And how big is your 360?
I use a 100 centimeter, translates to 40 inches.
That's a big one. That could fit like 4 to 5 people, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so we have the 34 inch with Orca, and that fits like 3 to 4, right? Mm-hmm. So then I know that could fit inside of Honda. I would love to get the 41, but then I know it's like my capability to lift that out, it's going to be drastically reduced, because now that's, you need a truck or an SUV or some shit to put that around. So yeah, okay. But be intentional with gear. Okay. The average attendant is going to be between the ages of 19 to 25, and they're going to drive a Honda, a 4-door sedan, with shit in it. Okay, already coming in.
This is great information. Thanks, Thomas. So yeah, be intentional with your gear. Be mindful of who you're bringing on, because they might not have the van that you've already acquired or the big SUV that you already have. So thank you so much for breaking that down. I bought a 360 booth. That was my very first booth. I thought it was going to fit into my Camry because it fit into, I did the measurements on my sister's Camry.
Yeah.
Dude, I forgot that my Camry was a hybrid. So the trunk space was completely different, bro. I don't know what I was thinking. So when I got started with the 360 booth business, I was renting a van every single weekend.
Oh, damn.
For like almost a full year.
Are you still doing that now?
No,
dude,
okay.
No. Does it fit in your car?
Yeah.
Oh,
dude,
okay.
So it fits in the SUV, and then the SUV has we can latch on an extra cargo if we want.
But see, bro, you have an SUV. Not many kids have SUVs.
Exactly. So for everyone watching and listening, guys, be very, very mindful and be very strategic about your photo booth setup. I know that most of the time we think about how we want to wow the client. So we bring in and we add on so many like things to just add value to the production. But remember, when you are going to be double booked, you have to duplicate that entire production. Right. And it has to be aligned with the amount of space your employee has in his car.
Yes.
Okay, good. So we tackled that down. Thomas has employees now. He has photo booths. He's growing. How do you stay booked consistently to keep those people busy?
Yeah. So as a business owner now, if I'm thinking about props and operations, I'm already losing. I'm really big into working outside of the company rather than in it. Mm-hmm. If you work inside of the company and you start looking at operations, props, cameras, all that stuff, you become very, very tunnel vision. That's all you see at that time. Okay. But my job now is to look at the entire landscape of my company, all of its employees, all of the resources and assets, and how can I get them out every week? Like for me, I get it, like if I see units back on a weekend, I'm thinking to myself, what the hell what didn't I do to get those units out there? You got to get them out. Mm-hmm. If they're just sitting there collecting dust, you're losing money all the time, right? Mm-hmm. So to me now, like my working outside of the business, I take a 10,000 foot view of the company, and I'm strictly into marketing. So I live by optimizing my website, relationship building, social media management, and also just like really doing what I can to increase brand awareness, and also maintaining and capturing reviews as much as possible. This is the only way, but this is where I feel where I've been successful at, and it's been keeping me booked every weekend. I mean, this weekend alone, we have 15 events on a Saturday.
My goodness.
Last weekend was 23 over a course of a weekend. So we stay booked.
Okay. That's crazy, bro.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as you said 15, and then you said like, no, don't worry. Last week we did over 20. I was like, damn.
Yeah, no, we do a lot. Yeah.
Okay.
That's 15 on this Saturday coming up.
It's man, This is great. I'm excited.
Yeah.
It's not even my business, but I'm
Yeah.
excited because of the potential
Yeah.
in this industry.
Yeah.
With the right mind, the right staff, and the right marketing skills, as you brought up. So, Thomas, you're getting a ton of events every single week. Some have it's like a residual effect from your previous clients from all those past years. For the person who doesn't have volume coming in like that, they're probably messing around with their pricing and trying to figure out their competitors, trying to figure out their demographics.
Yeah.
For that person right now that's going through that struggle, please shed some light on them.
Okay. One, don't worry about corporate. Do not worry about corporate. I'm seeing a bunch of stuff online, corporate hustles, and try to attack corporate, try to get these high price clients, charge what you're worth. For a lot of people, you are not worth that yet. I'm a firm believer you have to pay the price at those quinceañeras, at those backyard parties, and eat shit for a little bit. You gotta feel it. Yeah. It's not just the price, it's not just the dollar amount that you get, but you learn so much intangible things that you can further transfer to once you get to those corporate events. And I say this a lot, and I'm gonna keep saying it again. I'll look at the cameras, before you can party with Netflix and Google, you're going to have to die in the backyard parties. You got to go to those weddings, right?
Okay.
So don't worry about corporate. Worry about the basics and the fundamentals of acquiring clients, getting and then refining your skills, right? After that, like I told you, like I've been saying all the time, competitor analysis. Say yes to a lot of events. Hold on to every client. Over deliver as much as you can. And really, really care. Give a shit.
Right.
These people are hiring you to capture their special day. To you, it's a side hustle, but to them, they're relying on you.
Absolutely.
They want you. They want you to capture maybe some. For some, I've had events sometimes where you captured their grandma, and then the next year, their grandma's not there anymore, and they're relying on your photo gallery to revisit those moments again. Like, if you always keep that in mind and understand, like, there is a purpose behind this, I think the universe will reward you in a way where it's like, you're a good business owner, I'm going to give more your way, right? Mm-hmm. You got to genuinely give a shit, right? Mm-hmm. Focus on long money rather than short money. Don't focus on the dollar amount now. Yeah, you're going to take a hit, but you got to earn your stripes a little bit. Yeah. So that's my advice for like a young starting owner. Just say yes as much as you can, even free events. You'll eventually get it, right?
Say yes and be extra appreciative and grateful for that first client, and treat that first client as if it's the only client in your city that has options to go with another photo booth every single weekend. What are you gonna do to make sure that only client, that one client, books you every single week for that month? So I had a live stream and I told folks, treat your client like he's the only client,
right,
and you're competing for his business.
Right.
And once he says yes, make sure you wow them every single time.
Yep. You have to be obsessed. You got to be obsessed with the client. And I say this to my team, picture the best customer experience possible, reverse engineer that backwards, and how do we get there? It starts from prep, right? Even from the like larger standpoint, it starts from who I hire. That's how we get the best customer experience. But for a lot of owner operators that it's just them, think about the best photo booth at that wedding. Work backwards. How do you achieve that? And get it done all the time, right? Get it done. And you got to be willing. You got to be willing to delay gratification. You got to be willing to burn the midnight oil. When you do the event, that's the fun shit. That's cool. You're making it. But you got to be willing to put in the boring work. The boring work is sending the emails, getting the review, posting, editing, getting it out there. It's hours upon hours upon hours of work, but eventually it stacks up, You got to move the needle every day.
Someone's listening right now and watching, and they can't comprehend that level of enthusiasm anymore because they're going through the burnout phase.
Yeah.
They didn't hire people soon enough, and they're not delivering with that charismatic, high energy, thank you so much for your business, and the follow-up, right? So, Thomas, would you say if you're starting to feel this way, this is the perfect time to bring in fresh energy, fresh bodies into your business so that they can come through with that welcoming energy and that level of enthusiasm. Because I feel like a lot of folks right now are probably stuck in that phase where I'm leaving my house unless I'm making $600 for an event. So they're stuck in that mind because their enthusiasm is tied to how much they're being compensated at a personal rate, meaning like their time.
Yeah.
So what if that individual that's sitting on the couch, picking his nose and his boogers and flicking them, saying, "I'm just waiting for that, that event that's gonna be worth my time." What can we do to light up a fire and let them know, like, you don't have to wait for that $600 event. You can reduce it to $400, hire someone, and you can still be at home, but now you're making money and you're managing an actual business,
right?
Not being at the other end as an operator.
Yeah, you said it right there, man. I mean, the margins are lower, but think about if you came back out of the event and you were able to pocket $300. That's $300 you didn't do really shit for. That attendant did it, and that attendant's also living because he's getting money off of that as well. So you're providing a life right then and there. You put that on a macro level and put that at scale, you're going to make a lot of money, right? And you can't tell me that. I'm not saying you, but can't tell me that this model isn't effective because Walmart is a cost leader. They make a shit ton of money by selling things at very cheap prices and stuff. Then you got people that go to Whole Foods, right? But Walmart is still a strong company that is the king of cost leadership. So there's plenty of models that you can do for like when it comes to pricing and scale. But when it comes to that owner that's feeling burnt out, right? Mm-hmm. If they still have that mentality, they haven't really felt the burnout yet. I tell my wife all the time, or I haven't told my wife all the time, but I did say this to my wife and my family a long time ago. I'm like, you're the reason why I found employees. Like, why am I the reason? It's because I didn't want to miss out on these moments anymore. I'm tired of not having the date nights or things of that nature. I want calendar control back. You're the reason. All the moments when we would bicker and you'd be like, hey, we're not spending much time, and which I'm sure a lot of people get. That's the reason why I decided to scale, because I got so fed up with that shit. So to the owner that's feeling burnt out and he's still doing the events, it's because he's not fed up with that shit yet. When he's fully fed up, it's like, man, I don't want to do this event anymore. He's got two options. He can quit the company, or he'd be like, you know what, I'm gonna have somebody else do it. And then he figures out a way to get somebody to do it and then optimizes it so he can get margins out of it, right?
Yes.
So that's super important.
So for anyone out there right now feeling this pain, use that pain as your ultimate motivator. If you're still there, but you're kind of like still on that neutral phase, then like Thomas said, you're just not feeling it, that it's just not burning that much yet.
It doesn't hurt that much
right.
yet.
So when you get to a point, like Thomas said, where it's affecting your relationship, or you're going almost into depressed mode because you told people you started a business and it's not doing what you told them it was going to do, then I don't care if you're a man or girl, whatever you identify as, is like, do the fucking work.
Yeah, pivot. Yeah. Pivot quickly. Yeah. That's the beauty about small business, is that we can pivot. We don't quickly. We don't gotta get approval from higher. None of that crap. You're higher. That's it. Yeah. Pivot quickly. And business owners, we are really the backbone of this country, and you have so much. You have the ability to have so much impact on people. Mm-hmm. You can really impact. My company last year, I think one of the proudest things we did as a company was we started a small scholarship. We gave $1,000 to a young lady from a high school, and she just didn't have the financial means to go to college, right? And it was really cool to see that we gave her $1,000 straight check. It wasn't to the school, wasn't to the institution. It was from Stay Golden Photo Booth, $1,000 to you. And that added on to more of the purpose and impact that I was able to give, because at one point in time I said, you know what, I'm fed up with this shit. I want to hire people. I want to help them out, and I want to help other people out through them, right? So that's on a later level, how you can grow this. But the owner that's listening to you now, if you're tired, if you're really, really fucking tired, do something about it. Don't just sit there and think it's gonna come to you, because no one's coming to save you.
Nobody's gonna save
Nobody's
you.
gonna save you here.
Your equipment's gonna continue to collect dust.
Yeah.
No one cares.
No one cares. No one cares. No one cares.
But here at United Photo Booth, we do care, guys. So please implement some of these strategies this tycoon, Thomas Praxis, is putting down. Thomas, we covered some really good topics. We're going to take a quick commercial break. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We're sitting here with Thomas Praxis, who became a millionaire with this photo booth business. He's laughing, but we know that he's only a few events away for making it $1 million business, Thomas. Yeah. Thomas, those people that were around you, your circle, I bet has changed a lot over the last 7 years, of people that you repelled and people that naturally gravitated towards you. I know this is really kind of off topic, but just as this is for me, do you feel like you lost a lot of people as you found more and more success in your business, in your circle?
I don't want to say I lost people. I just had to be more selective on the people that I can give my time to. It's not that I found myself ever better than them. That's not the case. It was just I was just continuously preoccupied and just too busy with the company. So instead of hanging out with him or maybe a buddy that I served with in the Marine Corps or a classmate, it's like, well, I got to spend time with my wife because I haven't done that, right? So the circle just gets smaller because of the time spent. Mm-hmm. I would say looking back at the whole journey, though, there was people that underestimated me. There's people that underestimated photo booths, and they're like, oh, that sounds stupid. It's a side hustle, They never thought it would be on this level. And I know this because when I was buying a property, they were like, one of the loan individuals was like, photo booths make this much? I'm like, yeah, they can generate a lot if they're done well, right? And I'm not gloating. I say this all with humility, but I want people to understand that you can make a full-time job out of this, and you can grow something to something sustainable.
It takes some time. You do the work. And you can, Thomas, one of the girls, she's on my Instagram. She said that the 360 booth, because she started when I started. So
yeah,
she was able to get a ton of events. And I felt like her marketing tactic was she was targeting females. And because her 360 booth was cute, there was a lot of pink going on.
Smart.
She was attracting those girls that wanted to look great on that 360. So to her, I thought to myself, perfect. You're not only within a niche, but you're within a niche in a niche, kind of like.
Right.
So that's great. We got on a phone call, and I'm supposed to bring her on. She said that the 360 booth money gave her enough funds to put a deposit down on a house. And I'm thinking, what? She goes, yeah, we're getting a house because of the 360 booth.
I believe it.
And in my mind, I thought, like, beautiful. I want to know more about it, right? So, Thomas, I definitely I would love for you to come back on the show, because I know we only covered a segment of the business phase. And today we covered primarily the growth in the business and how you scale it and what it requires to scale it. Before we put a nice bow on it for today's meeting, I have one question, and I'm thinking, so now that you have employees and you showed us the hiring process, once you found out your demographics and the pay rate of your employees, how does that correlate? So you're charging a rate plus you have your payroll. For someone that is, thinking of bringing in 2 to 3 people, what works well for you? I know that this is more of a personal preference because it depends how much money you want to keep.
Yeah.
But what has helped you keep people coming back to your business, working for you with integrity, and also you keeping enough profit to keep the business operating and growing?
Yeah, so like, for example, one of our packages, a small package in our area, is like $400 for 2 hours. People could say that's low or not. That's up to debate. But $400 for 2 hours, attendant's going to get $100 for that, right? Mm-hmm. Now, $100 for 2 hours of work, or really it's like 3 to 4 hours of work for them. That's not bad. And really, if you look at how some people, when they get $100, most Americans, they make about $100, maybe 120 a day, like the average, if that. And then Uncle Sam takes a good chunk of that. And then it's also a labor intensive 8 hours of 100. These guys, at least for me, $100 for a 2-hour event. They're sitting there pushing a button, setting it up, probably getting fed, and they're enjoying it, right? Why I asked them, what keeps you around? It's like, well, the pay's good, and then you pay me in volume, meaning they're going from a morning event to an afternoon event to a wedding at night. Some of these guys are doing doubles and triples throughout the day. So for a weekend, they're coming home with $300-400, and that's a side job for them. Because I always tell them, when you apply with my job, if you have a Monday to Friday, I'd love for you to have that, because it's tough to get weekday jobs unless an activation lands or things of that nature. So for them, it's like, oh, this is perfect. I love it. I can work my Monday to Friday, or I can go to school Monday to Friday, but then on the weekends, I can pump out $300-400. I can do 3 or 4 events and get $300-400. And this is what I get from them. Like, this is what they tell me. Like, it's a perfect schedule for me. So that's how I retain them. And also, they get tips. All I ask for tips is they tell me they got tipped, but I do not take any of that tip, because I want to thank the client. And then also, I do little things. I have quarterly team buildings. I have a fully stocked snack bar that is always stocked on Saturdays. Yeah, you see it. Fridge, water, food, all sorts of crazy stuff in there that they can eat. And I think people just are not used to that. And if you give a shit as an owner, if you give a shit maybe 50%, just half of what they're used to, you're going to retain them. Leadership is important. And I'll leave people with this if they're looking at scaling. Leadership is the art of getting things done through people. And the key word in that is it's an art. You got to really, really care about your people. Care about your people, and they will care for you. They will do anything for you. And a good way to just care for them too is obviously pay well. So I feel we're right on the money with that.
You said, what keeps you here? That is a great question to ask a staff member, an employee.
All the time.
It's like, what keeps you here? Because their individual answer it's a peek into their world of what they value and what they cherish and what gets them excited. Yeah. Because I've come to the realization that when you have different employees, everyone sees the world differently. And so if you give an employee let's say, for example, here's a $25 bonus. Right. To them be like, dope. They are like that. And there's another person that if you give them the $25, is like, thank you. But that same person, if you don't give them the $25 and you give them a Starbucks, they're like, what? Right. It's like, it almost comes down to that love language kind of thing. Yeah. You never really know unless you ask. And I've asked them, what keeps you here? I love the pay. I love the hours. I love doing the events. I love going to the celebrity events. I like going to here. It's like, well, shit. All right, cool. And then I love the tips. We get one attendant. All of our attendants are not allowed to ask for tips, and there's no tip jars in our stuff. But I have one attendant. He's always getting tipped, and I'm talking big tips, like 100 to 150, and he loves it. But I think it goes to show, he really we have a uniform standard, it's a polo shirt and some slacks. But this fool goes over the top. He wears a bow tie. He looks pretty sharp, and he's always getting tipped. So a little nugget for you guys out there. But it's good, Dude, so dress up, guys, because this is very true. When I show up to events and I show up in a suit and charisma's there, I'll get tips. If I show up with my polo, I won't get as many tips as if I roll up in a suit. I remember I used to repair, Thomas, before this business, I had a phone repair business, and it was a mobile business. And I had already another job. This was a side hustle. So sometimes when I would get out of work, I would still be wearing my 3-piece suit. Yeah. But I show up to the client's house in a 3-piece suit to repair their phone. Yeah. Every single time I showed up in a 3-piece suit, bro, I think they felt like, this guy come all dressed up to fix my phone? And they would always give me tips, bro. So anyone watching, go and get yourself a suit. Thomas Praxis, it's been an honor. Yeah, of course. I had a lot of fun, bro, because I want to hang out with people smarter than me. And so I think that everyone here should gear themselves towards success, but also what takes you there. Could it be a book that you read and then you apply that? Could it be Atomic Habits, Daily Habits, mentorship? So there's just so many things that I feel a business owner needs to surround himself and consume on a daily basis. so that we don't get distracted by some of the worldly things. So thank you so much for joining us here today. I know you're the owner of Stay Golden. Is it just Stay Golden or Stay Golden Photo Booth?
Stay Golden Photo Booth.
Stay Golden Photo Booth. And a lot of folks don't know this, but I do want you to take a few moments to tell them, after acquiring so much success through Stay Golden Photo Booth, you have a new project that you're working on. You have a new business. So can you take a few seconds just to kind of let us know what that is? I already know. I'm excited. I'm a fan. I'm getting one for sure.
Yeah.
Tell us about Glamour Booth, man.
Yeah, co-founder for Glamour Booth, and we started building wooden photo booths. We're based in Los Angeles, white oak, premium. Saw that there's a gap in the market for high quality wooden photo booths, and 90% of our clients are weddings and brides, and it just sits well with them. Our planners book us just because we have this nice wooden booth, and we're able to get into a lot of venues and be preferred vendors because of these booths. So that's what we do. We made them. We were at PBX, great success. They can go to the website, and you guys can check it out.
You sold out of those Glamour booths at PBX.
Yeah, all of them. So we're like in a 10-week delayed lead time right now, and it's a grind. So I'm managing 2 companies. And that's the beauty about scale, is because I can give my attention to this company that is not scaled yet, while Stay Golden is running on its own. It's really autopilot. And and it's been a great ride.
Awesome, dude. So the Glamour Booth, guys, stay tuned in. I'm going to be putting out content revolving around the Glamour Booth because, like Thomas said, this Glamour Booth is very appealing to a certain avatar. And for me, I would love to promote that Glamour Booth to weddings, brides, and corporate accounts, because the production changes. And when you have a certain production in a presentation, it sometimes reflects on that rate, that dollar amount they're willing to pay for that. So the Glamour Booth is going to help me stand out, Thomas. I know that the 360 was tough because everybody had a 360. What do you do to a 360? But now if you can go from an iPad booth to a selfie booth to a mirror booth to an actual wooden booth, the rustic vintage appeal to it, I think that, like you said, there's a market, there's a gap for it.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that. Now, I'm sure people are going to reach out to you. Maybe they want you on their podcast or their channel, make special appearances. How can they get a hold of you?
Yeah, they can find me on the Instagram or Stay Golden Photo Booth. I monitor that from time to time, or my staff will let me know if you contact me. My Instagram is Praxedes09, Praxedes09 at the Instagram. And,
did you give us your username and password just
now,
bro?
I almost gave a Gmail account. Okay. But that's it, man. You guys can find me there, and or just Google my name, man. Thomas Praxedes. My Instagram will pop up, and I'm there.
Yeah, it'll see top photo booth business owners, Thomas Praxedes.
Not yet. Hopefully.
In the USA, Thomas, just really quick, bro. I know I was supposed to say we're wrapping it up, but are you one of the biggest photo booth companies in the USA?
No, I don't think so. I'm definitely one of the most highest rated in Los Angeles County area. And LA has a population of 7 million, so we definitely have a good market control there. There are some plans in the work to break into San Diego. So, but there's some bigger ones out there, and we got our eyes on them. So
you guys heard it from Thomas. He stays humble, but this is the same man, guys, as humble as he appears. Is the one bringing in over 15 events on a Saturday. We're going to help you try to get there one episode at a time. So stay tuned in. Thank you so much for listening, and we are out. Thank you, Thomas.
That's it. See you, man.
Appreciate you, brother.
All right. That's good.